Critical illness insurance is a great solution for a customer that may need cash when they need it the most, in the event of a qualifying critical illness. In the case of that happening, they get to choose how to spend their dollars so they can focus on getting well. Features of our critical illness insurance plan is that it pays a lump sum cash benefit when a covered critical illness condition is diagnosed. It can also help offset out-of-pocket expenses due to high deductibles on an insurance plan, lost wages, experimental treatment, or prescription drugs, care from specialists, travel, etc. Did you know that the leading cause of all critical illness claims, 90%, are due to cancer, stroke, and heart attacks? That leads us to ask the question, will your client survive the financial impact of having a critical illness like cancer, heart attack, stroke, organ failure, coronary artery bypass, angioplasty, etc.? It is a documented statistic that the number one cause of all bankruptcy filings are due to medical expenses, and those are outpacing bankruptcies due to credit card bills and unpaid mortgages. Many people had insurance, and still 1 in 5 adults aged 19 to 64 will use their life savings to pay off medical bills. Critical illness insurance provides a benefit if your client experiences one of the following qualifying critical illnesses: cancer, heart attack, stroke, organ failure, coronary artery bypass, and angioplasty. For most states, it also includes coma, paralysis, and severe burns. It's important to know that coma, paralysis, and severe burns are not covered in the state of Georgia. And this particular policy will not provide coverage for severe burns for children. Benefit options are available for the primary insured and their spouse in increments of $1,000, anywhere from $20,000 in coverage up to a maximum of $50,000 per category. We have 3 separate categories included in this plan, so if someone chose the $50,000 benefit, they would have $50,000 in coverage for 3 categories. That would be $150,000 in total benefit. You're able to put a child on this plan with coverage of $10,000 per category for a maximum of $30,000 for the plan. This plan includes 3 separate categories of benefits. Category 1 is going to be your cancer treatments. Invasive cancer is internal cancer. Cancer in situ is going to be more like your skin cancers and lesions. Category 2 is going to include your heart attacks, strokes, major organ failure involving or including the heart, coronary artery bypass, and angioplasty. Category 3 is going to include your major organ failure that is not in Category 2, end-stage renal disease, severe burns, coma, and paralysis. And it's so important to know and understand that the benefit payouts for this insurance plan is only for a qualifying critical illness that is the first diagnosis, and it may not exceed the benefit option chosen for each category. Back to Category 1. In most states, if someone is diagnosed with either invasive cancer or cancer in situ in the first 90 days of coverage, you'll see here that they have a lesser percentage of benefit that will be payable to them. In Category 2, you'll see that coronary artery bypass and angioplasty has a lesser percentage of a payout for that benefit because they're less severe qualifying critical illnesses. Now keep in mind that regardless of the benefit, if someone, for instance, had a $50,000 benefit for each category, that would be $150,000 total, and they had a coronary artery bypass in Category 2 and received 25% of their $50,000 benefit, they still have the remaining benefit left to help them offset cash expenses if they had another qualifying critical illness in that same category. So for instance, if someone had a coronary artery bypass and received 25%, and then 6 months later they had a heart attack, they would receive the remainder of the money at that time. We do want to ask that you always refer to your individual policy documents and outline of coverage for each state that you're marketing in. There will be separate outlines of coverage for each state that's applicable on this particular benefit in your advisor resource library. We also want to remind you that the diagnosis in the 90-day time frame will vary by state. For instance, there's a 30-day time limit for the states of Arkansas, Illinois, Maryland, Maine, Pennsylvania, and Wyoming. And it doesn't apply at all to the state of Georgia. We also want to remind the state of Georgia that severe burn, coma, and paralysis are not covered under the plan. And for all states, the child benefit only option will not include the critical illness of severe burns. You may be asking yourself why. It is a sad fact that there is a lot of fraud when it comes to burning children and getting reward for that. And therefore, the departments of insurance will not even approve it. So that is not an option in our plans. Furthermore, most states include a multiple payout benefit, which explains how multiple payouts will work. Some pertinent things that you need to keep in mind are the benefit payment under each category shall not exceed 100%. Once the benefit is paid for a specified category, that category is terminated. The insured can receive benefit on a second or third critical illness that meets the terms and conditions of the policy if the insured continues to pay required premium. There is only one benefit payment per 180-day period across the three categories. However, the 180-day period does not apply to benefit payments within the same category. If a first diagnosis occurs within the 180-day period after a benefit payment, no benefit payment will be payable. However, a subsequent occurrence and diagnosis of that critical illness after the 180-day period will be considered a first ever diagnosis and will be payable. If more than one critical illness is diagnosed at the same time, the benefit payout will be based on the larger benefit. Benefit payments upon first diagnosis of the critical illnesses are subject to the following. Number 1, the diagnosis must be made within the United States. 2, the diagnosis is made while the insured person's insurance is in force under the policy. Payment must not be precluded by any general or specific exclusion or provision set forth under the individual state policy, or any failure to meet any condition precedent set out in qualifying definitions. There are some exclusions and limitations to consider. This policy does not cover any critical illness caused in whole or in part by or resulting from the insured person's commission or attempt to commit a felony, intentional self-inflicted injury or sickness, alcoholism or drug addiction, being intoxicated or under the influence, attempting or committing suicide, illness or injury that is not specifically set forth in and covered under this policy, And for the child benefit only, the policy does not provide coverage for severe burns. Termination of coverage. Insurance under the individual state policy ends the earliest of the date premium has not been paid, when due, or within the 31-day grace period. Written request is received by the insured. The insured person reaches the maximum benefit amount. The insured person is no longer a permanent legal resident of the United States. The insured or spouse attains the age of 75. Death of the insured person. Coverage for a dependent child terminates when he or she turns the age of 25, and that may vary by state. This slide will show you a picture of where the plan is approved. Critical illness is available in most states throughout the country. We will notify you as changes occur, and you can always refer to the product availability matrix under your advisor resource library in your Slice of Advice training platform. Underwriting is simple and can be reviewed in detail in your critical illness insurance producer guide, which is specific to this product. Producer's guides are just a guide and geared towards a general and most common information required. Please keep in mind that there are state-specific requirements and benefit mandates which are defined in your state-specific brochures or outlines of coverage for this product. Underwriting is simple and can be reviewed in detail in your critical illness insurance producer guide. Underwriting for this product will be reviewed on an accept or reject basis. There will be no exclusionary riders or rate-ups that will be issued on this plan. Underwriting eligibility for coverage is based on 3 sources of information: medical history provided on the application, the applicant's height and weight, and MIB, which used to stand for Medical Information Bureau and is now called MIB Group, Incorporated. There is medical history to consider. It's critical for application disclosure, evaluation, risk to consider issuance, as well as claims payment. We ask that you refer to your state's specific application and general producer's guide for specific declinable conditions or questions. We also want to note that states may vary by a number of years pertaining to a specific history of condition. However, keep in mind this question is referring to not only diagnosis, but also test results and receipt of treatment, which includes but is not limited to consultation and/or medication for treatment. Family history is also important. An applicant would be declined if she or he has 2 or more natural parents, brothers or sisters, living or deceased, who were diagnosed with one of the following same conditions: diagnosed before the age of 60 with cancer, heart disease, diabetes, stroke, or kidney disease, and diagnosed before the age of 75 with colorectal cancer, Alzheimer's disease, or dementia. Height and weight. The table is unisex, applying to both male and female applicants. If an applicant falls within the minimum and maximum range, they are eligible for coverage. If under or over that range, they will be declined. This build table applies to men and women age 18 and older. MIB Group Incorporated, previously known as Medical Information Bureau, is a membership corporation owned by approximately 470 member insurance companies in the United States and Canada. Our companies will perform an MIB search for all critical illness insurance applications. If MIB does contain information about the applicant, an underwriter will contact the applicant to discuss the MIB information, review the application and response, then determine the next course of action. If medical records are required, they must be provided at the applicant's expense. An existing IHC insured may also apply for this new product. However, in these cases, we're also obligated to review any claims history that we have and medical records that our company may have on file prior to making a decision. This product is a separate, standalone individual product, and therefore premium will be drafted or billed separately from a health premium. The options for billing and drafting are the 1st and the 15th of the month only. Please ensure that you're coordinating effective dates based on a customer's desire and coordination with other products that they may apply for. Premium is drafted immediately upon submission of the application. Notice of claim must be provided within 60 days after a critical illness is determined. Notice should include information sufficient to identify the insured person. We need their case number. That is critical. A claim form will be provided upon written notice of claim mailed to the insured person requesting proof covering the occurrence, character, and the extent of the critical illness. Proof of claim must be provided no later than 90 days after a critical illness is determined. If 90 days is not reasonable based on illness proof that must be provided, then provide it as soon as reasonably possible, and no later than 1 year from the time that proof is required. Payment or benefit payout from a claim that's filed is paid directly to the insured person or to their estate in the event of death. This slide represents resources that are available to you: brochures, applications, and outlines of coverage. It is very important to understand that this particular product with our organization has many state brochures, applications, and outlines of coverage that are your responsibility to leave behind with a customer at point of sale. Refer to your advisor resource website under the library section to download these resources. It is your responsibility as an advisor to leave behind the appropriate brochure and outline of coverage document with the applicant at point of sale. Printed brochures that are marketing brochures are available through your local state office. IPA supplies those. Applications and outlines of coverage will be available to you to download through your portal. You can simply log in to your library on your Slice of Advice training platform, or you can get some of these items direct through your MIB Group quoting portal. The information contained in this training is an outline of features and benefits of the IAIC Critical Illness Insurance Plan. The plan offered may be subject to change. This training is not intended to serve as a legal interpretation of the benefits, which are provided under the master policy underwritten by Independence American Insurance Company. Some provisions, benefits, exclusions, or limitations may vary depending on the client's state of residence. This plan is not available in all states. You can learn about our companies in more detail by referring to your training module titled Introduction of Companies. If you're still wondering if this might be a good supplemental option to coverage or even a standalone product for a person looking for insurance, please stay tuned and click to the next slide to watch a live story on this specific benefit and how it might be of benefit to an insured in your marketplace. Once you watch that quick video, proceed forward to the next slide and take the quiz.
Who loves you?